Hey everybody, Harry Newhand here. Thanks for joining us with MLM Success Academy. Appreciate you coming on today. Very, very excited to have a couple of guys that I recently met, Jim a little bit longer ago than George, but I got their book and their book is just absolutely fantastic. Jim was kind enough to send it over to me after him and I had a great conversation, getting to know each other. And it was from the grassroots prospecting. I was out there prospecting, looking for people to communicate with, which is one of the things that I teach. And it hit into the topic of the three C's of network marketing: the confidence, commitment, and consistency. And this book is just phenomenal. It's not very thick, but it is strong and powerful. Let me see if I can get it where I know what I'll do here. Oh, you got it right there. Let's see if I can get rid of that. There we go. You guys got it up there. So that's the book. And there you go. Jim was kind enough to autograph it, send it to me. I highly recommend it. It's an easy read. It makes so much sense, powerful, and it let me know a lot of the things about me that took me a long time to figure out, but it really put it in perspective for me. So I've got them on here today. Guys, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you joining me today.
You're welcome.
Our pleasure.
You do know, Harry, that George says when I autograph a book and send it to somebody, it devalues it. So just be aware of that.
Well, I'll let history determine that, but I love it. You guys did a great job. And I'm not giving it anyway, and I'm not selling it. So for me, it's highly valuable. It's not going to devalue it at all. But I appreciate that. So what would you guys like to start? Just tell us a little bit about you, how you came about. Of course, eventually we'll get to how you came about the book, but share with us about yourself, a couple minutes, and then we'll get into the network marketing side of it and how you found it, or did it find you? Who wants to go first?
Jim, why don't you jump in?
You want me to introduce you, George?
Yeah, we'll do what we normally do.
Well, don't forget all the nice things to say about me then, okay?
Maybe you could text me while you're talking about me.
I got a call one day from my son, Jeff. And at the time we were building a network marketing company, and both Jeff and I were distributors of the year of that company. And Jeff calls me and says, Dad, I'm going to have a special guest come in and train our team in Tucson. Would you like to come down and support us? So Sherry and I drove down, took the dog with us, kind of snuck in the back row, sat down, and I heard Jeff introduce George as Joe Malarkey, America's worst motivational speaker. And I'm going, what is this all about? And then I started listening to George and I started laughing. And I'm going, my God, this guy is funny. Where did Jeff find this guy? And later on, I did find out that George had been a stand-up comedian for 10 years. In fact, shared the stage with Jerry Seinfeld and came up with all those brilliant comics all at the same time. And then for 20 plus years, he toured the country as Joe Malarkey, America's worst motivational speaker. And that routine landed him in the Speakers Hall of Fame, which apparently is pretty hard to get into. Only 1.5% of all speakers are in it.
You think it's hard to get into? You should see how hard it is to get out of. I've been trying.
Well, I later found out George was on 60 Minutes. I mean, that blew me away. And he'd been on To Tell the Truth and cover article of the LA Times. And I just remember sitting there, Harry, going, why can't I find somebody like this to be on my team? I mean, all the contacts that he has and the charisma that he has. And I later found out that it was probably a good thing that George wasn't on my team, because he really, really would have frustrated me. So, but that's how I met George. Okay.
Well, it's funny because we both saw each other on stage the first time. I saw Jim on stage at a network marketing company event, and he was up on stage with his two sons who were in the three of the top 10 money earners in that company. And I was holding down my seat firmly in the back row, where all the kind of people who had the performance level that I did tended to accumulate. And we're going to talk a lot about consistency today. I mean, that's the title of our book, The Consistency Chain for Network Marketing. Jim is Mr. Consistency. And whether he was the number one paper boy in Miami, Florida,
Yeah.
or or starting a traditional business with a $500 investment and turning that into a $17 million a year company that was sold out to a Fortune 500. And then he retired to Arizona, which retirement for Jim means 2 days a week of unbelievably bad golf. And then, no, I've seen it. There's no question. And then building other businesses. He was on, I never get this right. It's not a home shopping network, is it? It was the other one.
It's the big one, QVC.
QVC. I see, and I've
Yeah.
always believed that they should take Home Shopping Network and QVC and just combine them into one network and call it, here's a bunch of crap you shouldn't be buying in the middle of the night. But he had good success in QVC. He sold over 1 million units of a product that he invented. And then he got into network marketing, and he was distributor of the year of 2 different network marketing companies. And so when we came to kind of want to teach this concept, we thought, how interesting would it be to write a book that covers the entire spectrum of people that are unbelievably consistent and their success flows out of that. And the other people, the majority of people, which we're going to talk about, who are challenged with consistency. It's a struggle for them. And sadly enough, for me, I represent that side of the equation. So,
I'm glad you brought that up because, and I think you and I talked about this before on a call when we got introduced, but it seems like, that 80-20 that you're going to talk about, 80% of the people do 20% of the work and 20% of the people do 80% of the work. It seems like it's very rare, if not impossible, to find somebody that is always 100%er. They're usually if they're 80% great at work, they're probably 20% horrible at cleaning up their garage or cleaning up the house, or maybe even their health is bad, but they're 80% at something. But let's talk about that paradigm there with the 80-20 and how you related it to you and Jim, or Jim and George, how you guys figured this out and put it together, because to me, it resonated at a really high level, because I've always been a high producer, but there are things in my life that I don't care to do, I don't want to do, and it's a distraction from what I do best. So share with us that.
well, the perfect example of the person who is kind of split on these dimensions is we talk about Oprah. I mean, in the world of business, Oprah is not in the top 20%. She's in the top 0.002%. I mean, she is unbelievable at business. And yet, for her entire life, she struggled with her health and her weight and her diet. And there's no one that could be more have more advantages in dealing with that than Oprah. I mean, my God, she could have a private chef and a personal trainer. She could hire somebody for $1,000 a day just to follow her around and slap food out of her mouth. And yet, this is her struggle. And this was exemplified when she decided to do Weight Watchers. And I thought that was a perfect example of her decision, because before she decided to do Weight Watchers, what's the first thing she did? She bought Weight Watchers stock.
Yeah.
Because that's the 20% Oprah. That's the part of the Oprah's brain that goes, once I announce that I'm going to do this, that stock's going to go through the roof. And it did. She made about $6 million on that purchase. Now, how has the other part of it worked out for her? I don't know. I do know this. I haven't seen any recent pictures of Oprah.
I saw her the other day, George, and it's not working.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that's, that is that challenge thing that we're trying to help people with. I mean, I talk about being an 80%er, and I am. But there's also areas of my life where I excel. So it's I mean, that's what the kind of the key to this whole mystery was we came up with 3 little different data points that separately you may have even heard of all of them, but together you bring them together, and all of a sudden it's just like this light goes on. You're like, that's why I've always struggled with this. And we talked about the 80-20 thing. This comes back from Vilfredo Pareto, who was an 18th century social scientist. And the first thing you have to admit right off the bat is everybody's name sounds better in Italian. I mean, can we say that? Vilfredo Pareto. Because if you think about it, if he's an American, Willie Parrott, nobody's listening to that.
No.
So The Pareto principle, everybody's heard of this, and it's 80% of the results tend to come from 20% of the people. And that certainly is the case in network marketing.
We see it all the time in network marketing, where the same 20% walk across the stage all the time. I mean, it's so prevalent right there, more so than probably most industries.
Yeah, and it's 80% even more.
Of the people. Yeah.
And it's, I mean, it's worse than 80-20 in network marketing for some reasons. But so the thing that when I started researching the Pareto principle, the thing that I couldn't understand was, and it's everywhere. Don't kid, it's not just like network marketing phenomena. It's everywhere. We've talked to real estate people and they'll tell you that 80% of the homes are sold by 20% of the people. You talk to insurance folks, 80% of the policies will be written by 20% of the people. You talk to pastors and they will tell you that 80% of the contributions to the church come from 20% of the people. I mean, it's just unbelievably ever present.
I wear 20% of my clothes 80% of the time.
Yeah.
Does that count?
You wear none of your long pants any of the time. So, Jim's the only person I've ever seen that had a tuxedo with shorts, and that was not and that's not a good look for anybody. Let me just say that. So, so I started looking at this Pareto thing, and I'm thinking, how is it possible for people to be so completely unique and dissimilar, and yet along this one line we just fall so easily into one of these two groups? And so I looked at all the things the two groups had in common. Intelligence, equally present, both groups. Education, both groups. Training, in the network marketing business, everybody has access to the same training, the same products, the same services. Everything was the same. Skills, talents, abilities are present in both groups. And so finally, even ambition, you know, you got to have a dream. That dream is alive in the hearts of a lot of people that don't make it to the level that they want to make in network marketing. So with all those things being the same, then it came down to, well, what's the one thing that's different? And for us, we lit upon this, I believe, basic truth, and that is the difference between the 80 and the 20. The high performing 20% do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, on a relentlessly consistent basis. And the 80%, we know what needs to be done, but we don't do it, and we don't do it consistently. And that is the dividing line in network marketing and everything else. I mean, Jim, your whole story goes to consistency.
Yeah, you know, it was interesting when George and I first started talking about it. I've been successful in, like you say, in business and marriage. I think I know we're going to celebrate 52 years this summer. And I always I look at, and I have two sons that have their heads on straight, and yet I've always struggled with the physical aspect, and always wondered, how can you be a 20%er in so many areas and an 80%er in the other areas? And that's what drove my curiosity. And because I was trying to establish the same type of, I was trying to establish goals with the same type of strategy, and it just doesn't work for a 20% or an 80%er. So that's why we came up with the consistency chain.
Right. And when we think of this, the context of Pareto and success in network marketing, there's an Eric Worre definition of success in network marketing I think is really, really good. And that is to succeed in network marketing, you need a large group of people to do a few simple things on a relentlessly consistent basis. And in network marketing, we're really, really good at two of those. Develop a large group of people, that's recruiting. We spend time, money, and effort to recruit people. And then do a few simple things. That's training. That's teaching people how to make an approach, teaching people how to prospect, teaching people how to sponsor. Where we fall down is we make this assumption that could not be more wrong. And that is, if you get good people and you train them well, they're going to automatically be consistent.
Yeah.
And nothing's further from the truth. And we see it play out company after company, plan after plan, people after people. It just does not follow. So we just keep building these two-legged stools and wondering why they don't support our weight. And so, I mean, that's the reason why we've had the focus that we've had on consistency. So that's point one.
No, that's huge. let me go into part of that. You, in the book, you shared, because in real life, what happens to me, and I know it happens to many of my clients and people that I work with, is that a lot of times when we have our list of things that we know, like you said, you know what to do, you know what you need to do. It's a question of doing it. I feel like the list all of a sudden gets too big. We get emotionally overwhelmed because there's too many things on the list. And then it's like we don't do any of it. It's like it paralyzes us. And you address a little bit of that in the book, and as leading up to the solution, maybe you can address a little bit of that feeling or how to break through.
Yeah. It's interesting. Even as a 20%er, I remember we were on stage and just before us, a lady got up, and one of their top producers introducing a 100-day blitz or 90-day blitz, where you had to, make 50 calls a day or something crazy. And I remember looking at George and going, "Oh my goodness gracious, how many people are going to do that?" I mean, it just doesn't happen. I mean, I'm a 20%er in that area, and I'm not going to do it. And yet, people think a 90-day or all-out blitz, 100, whatever it might be, is effective. And right now with our program, we're just trying to get people to show up on a daily basis, yet alone, make any calls. And I'll let you take it from here, George.
Well,
but,
I mean, Jim, we were talking about, there was a company that we were both associated with that had a really great calendar and a tracking activity tracker that they put out. And
yeah, I know where you're going with this, George.
do you know who? Can you remember, Jim, who came up with that idea? I can't remember.
I have a beautiful strategy, Harry. It was called the Daily 8 scorecard. 8 things you had to do every single day to be successful. And I remember giving that to George, and he looks at it and goes, "Well, that's 7 too many things on there for me." Now, I still use the same. I have a chart, but and I use it every single day. And I have toned it down a little bit. I went from 8 to 10, but
and I can make the psychological case why that doesn't work for people like me. I mean, it just simply is overwhelming. And there's a sales adage that says the confused mind says no. And that's exactly what it is. When I look at that thing, that whole litany of things that I'm supposed to do on a daily basis, my mind just says, no, it's too much. And so that's one of the things that we talk about is we want to focus on an activity that will move your business forward, a critical area activity. But what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that people who are naturally reluctant to move are going to move. Because we understand the part of the brain that's making this decision, and we know how to appeal to that, which is a completely different appeal than everything else that we've been using to this point. Which is the second point of this, which I don't want to hijack this whole thing, but I do want to get these 3 points in so that we can make some coherent sense here. The second data point after Pareto was the marshmallow test. And so back in the late 1960s, early 1970s, a business professor at Stanford did a research study, and he brought in 305-year-olds, which right there, you should get the Nobel Prize just for doing that. If you can manage that, that's because I've got a 7-year-old daughter, or granddaughter rather, that which is amazing because I have no children. And if I babysit her for half a day, I have to be hospitalized. So the thought of 305-year-olds running around is more than I can imagine. But anyway, he did it. God love him. And one by one, he brought them into a room, sat them down at a table, and on that table was a marshmallow. And the researcher said, "Listen, that marshmallow is yours to eat. However, I'm going to leave, be gone a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes. If I come back and that marshmallow is still there, you get a second marshmallow." Anybody want to guess what the percentage of kids that ate the marshmallow was?
I'm going to guess 20%.
No, 80% ate the marshmallow, 20% did not eat the marshmallow. Jim, would you have eaten the marshmallow?
No, George, I wouldn't have eaten the marshmallow. Anytime I can double my investment, I'm obviously going to take that opportunity. In fact, the last time we did a program, still have my marshmallows.
And I will tell you, I
Beautiful.
would have eaten the marshmallow before the guy got out of the room. He would not have been able to explain the experiment. He would have been saying, okay, now that marshmallow is you, then mine was gone. So I'm completely screwing up the whole experiment. But the interesting thing about this, because it's really, and you can see this experiment's been reproduced a number of times. You can watch it online. It's the video of the kids trying to eat the marshmallows, hysterical. But the interesting thing was the follow-up that they did, because they had all the contact information on these kids. So they thought, well, I wonder if there's any significant life differences if we check in on them at, say, their mid-teenage years. And what they found out was the kids that didn't eat the marshmallow, the 20% kids that didn't eat the marshmallow, had higher SAT scores, higher GPA, and were judged to be more socially advanced. They check in a second time, midlife. They found that the 20% non-marshmallow eating people had more educational attainment, more professional advancement. They divorced less, and according to body mass index, they were in better shape. And then the final time, I think it was 2011, they brought them back one last time to test subjects. And now the intersection of computing power and medical instrumentation is at a place where we can look inside a brain in real time, non-invasively, with a functional MRI. And they put these test subjects in an fMRI machine, and the technician could look at the brain activity level in one of two areas of the brain and predict with 100% accuracy whether or not that test subject did or did not eat the marshmallow 40 years prior.
40
That's
years
scary.
prior.
Yeah,
That's
how scary is
terrifying.
that? Yeah.
Wow.
And it speaks to why this has been such a challenge for us to try and introduce, strategies that have a real effect. It's because it's different than what we've been thinking it is. So the two areas of the brain are the ventral striatum, or the prefrontal cortex, and the ventral striatum. Prefrontal cortex is the executive functioning part of the brain. It's the part of the brain that can look at an action in the moment and project that if I keep doing that action, these are going to be the results.
That's why
Jim,
I will pick up the phone and make a call, because I know that action will get me closer to my goal. Yeah.
Jim functions out of the prefrontal cortex in business. The other part of the brain is the ventral striatum, and this is a much more primal part of the brain. And it doesn't make decisions on, well, if I do this every day, if I eat a donut every day, I'm going to gain weight. It doesn't make that decision. Instead, it says, is it easy? Is it safe? Is it pleasurable? So Jim and I can be in the same network marketing company. They announced the trip to Maui. We both want to go to Maui. On Monday, Jim is on the phone. On Monday, I'm looking at the phone. And as an introvert, getting on the phone and calling people is not easy for me.
No.
It's not safe for me, because they could make me feel bad. They could tell me, they could reject me. That's not safe. And it certainly isn't pleasurable. And so what I will do is I won't pick up the phone. Now I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to pick up the phone. What I'm going to say is, listen, Wednesday is a terrible day to call people. It's hump. They call it hump day for a reason. I'll call tomorrow, and then tomorrow rolls around. Well, Thursday, we can't call people on Thursday. They're trying to get all their work done so they can get out of the office early on Friday. Well, you can't call people on Friday. People trying to get off work, go home, start the weekend. Saturday, you can't call people. People doing stuff Saturday. Sunday, you can't call people. My God, it's Easter. You can't call people on Easter. What are you thinking? Monday, we can't call people on Monday. People just getting back to work, recovering from the weekend. Tuesday, they're just getting over Monday, and we're back to Wednesday. And so
but George, I am going to send you that postcard from Maui. I
Maui.
told you I would.
Yeah.
Yes. I will
Yeah.
send you that postcard.
That's my own. That's as close as I'm going to get to Maui, because what I'm going to do is I'm never going to say no. I'm just going to say not today.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy, safe, pleasurable, and I can't get past that barrier. And I don't want to say no, because that means I'm never going to do it. And I don't want to do that. No. I'm just going to push my success one day further into the future, day after day after day, until finally it's no longer a realistic thing anymore. I'm
Finally,
really-
we're going to be look around and go, whatever happened to George? He had so much potential. I liked him. I really did. He just wasn't focused enough, I guess. Yeah,
Didn't have
wasn't
the
goal-oriented.
why that made me cry,
There you go.
or the dream that made me scream. I made that one up. It's not catching on.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty good.
yeah,
Aren't you glad
So the
you
whole-
invited George on the call, Harry? We
Yeah,
had
I
such a
can't wait
great
for the
call,
third.
just you and I.
I can't wait for the third point. This is good.
So after seeing this whole thing about the marshmallow study, and the takeaway from that is people who can delay gratification are the big winners in life. People who are driven by instant gratification are going to be always challenged. And that's exactly those two things. The prefrontal cortex is the home of delayed gratification. The ventral striatum is where instant gratification lives. So I looked at like, okay, well, what I need to do then, there's really three options. The first option for me is I need to learn how to delay gratification. And I will tell you, I bought 6 books on how to delay gratification. And there wasn't a thing in there that felt usable to me. And here's the stupid thing is I should have known. I should have known these books weren't going to work for me because how did I order them? I ordered them from Amazon. I ordered them all on Kindle. Why? So I could get books on delayed gratification and get them instantly. Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have seen that this wasn't going to work out
go
as a
figure.
strategy? Yeah. The
Did you read them?
yeah, I will
Oh, okay.
always read the books. I will do the research. I just
Okay.
can't, and that was my whole thing. My whole life was, leaders or readers. Man, you couldn't have outread me. I did this. Readers set goals, written goals. I set written goals. I did all the ancillary stuff. I just wouldn't do the one thing that was actually going to grow my business because it was not easy. It was not safe. And it was not pleasurable. Reading is super safe and easy and pleasurable. Love it.
Sure.
Writing down goals, and man, just dreaming, it could be easier, safer, and more pleasurable. Actually picking up the phone, actually reaching out to somebody, no. And that was always where I let down. So our second option, if we can't learn to delay instant gratification, or learn to delay gratification, then our second option, and this is the most popular one. This is the one
Just
that
quit.
people are making. Yeah,
Yeah.
quit. This is the one people are making every single day in network marketing. You know what? It's just, I thought it was for me, but Jim, I know you're going to do great at this, and I wish you will, buddy. But the timing is just not right for me right now. It's really, things have changed, and so let me know. Stay in touch. Which telling Jim Packer to stay in touch is you don't even need to waste your time. He's going to stay in touch. So then the third strategy, and this is the last data point, is if we can't learn to delay gratification and we don't want to quit, what if there was a strategy where we could take our insatiable desire for instant gratification and actually turn it into the thing that's going to allow us to get what we want to achieve?
That's the both
This
worlds.
goes back. Yeah. So this goes to, of all people, Jerry Seinfeld. And I've got stories I could tell you about Seinfeld, but I saw an online article that was about him, and it was talking about him meeting a young kid, young wannabe comic. And that wannabe comic is like, I want to be Jerry Seinfeld. And he's like, okay, well, first of all, that was never the goal. The Jerry Seinfeld that you see today is not what I originally envisioned. Limos and Learjets. He said, I will tell you what I wanted to be. Here's how I got to be Jerry Seinfeld. I had one goal. I wanted to be a better comic. And we'll dig a little bit into this whole better idea, the ER ending of words, because it's kind of the key to this whole thing. He says, I want to be a better comic. And so what he did was he sat down and thought, well, what? He made the 3 decisions that, as you watch this today, we're going to ask you to make these 3 decisions. He had to decide, well, what would that look like? What activity could I engage in that would take me down that road the fastest? He decided it was writing jokes. So he wrote jokes that day, first day. And he got a calendar, made a little circle on the calendar, day 1. Day 2, he wrote jokes again, made another circle on the calendar. Now the thing is, the genius of Jerry Seinfeld is he does not see 2 circles on the calendar. What he sees are 2 links of a chain. Day 3 and every day after that, and it never gets any harder than day 3. Day 3 is one simple goal.
Don't break the chain.
Don't break the chain. Don't break the chain. And that's what we have seen with his success. And understand this, Jerry Seinfeld, when he sold the sitcom rights to his, the Seinfeld sitcom, he got $800 million, which seems like a lot of money.
It would pay off your credit. It would pay off
Almost
your
half.
credit card.
It would knock my credit cards in half. But what that was nothing more than the compound interest on day after day after day of not breaking the chain. And I want to circle back to the ER thing because this is going to be really important. His goal was to become a better comic. And the genius of this is where we can put instant gratification to work for us. When I saw this article, I thought, this is crap. I can't believe this is true. But I thought, yeah, I'll try it. I mean, what's one more thing? I've failed at a ton of stuff. What's failing at one more? And so I decided, all right, so my first decision was the area of my life I wanted to work on, which was my health. My second decision was what activity or what does that look like in ER terms? And the words I came up with is I want to be fitter, I want to be stronger, I want to be healthier. That was my second decision. Third decision, what activity can I engage in that's going to take me in that direction the fastest? And I said, I'm going to work out 45 minutes to an hour every day. And the beautiful thing about this was I went to work out the first day and I came back and I can look in the mirror. Day 1, I can look in the mirror with complete integrity and complete honesty and say, dude, you are healthier, you are fitter, you are stronger. See, I'm not waiting for something to happen in the future to validate the work that I'm doing now. That's delayed gratification. I'm not good at that. What I am good at is instant gratification. And I really know that when I've done the workout, I am all those things. I'm fitter, I'm stronger, I'm healthier. And because of that, because I keep coming. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say, George, what you've done is just found a different way to measure success, something that you can feel good about every single day.
Every single day. And it allows me to leverage instant gratification in service of long-term goals instead of to the detriment of long-term goals.
Yeah. There you have it.
Powerful stuff. So when you did it the one day, what happened the next day?
I did it the second day.
And
the second day is, so day 1, you decide what you're going to do and you go do it. Take an action, you do it. Second day, you repeat it. And what have you done on day 2? Day 2, you've actually built the chain. That's the first 2 links of the chain. Day 3 doesn't get any harder than day 3. Never gets harder than day 3. Just don't break the chain. And I put together
the same thing. You can do the same thing, George, with prospecting.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm a better prospector.
I mean,
I'm a better problem solver. I'm a better recruiter, whatever it might be, all ER goals.
Yep.
Yeah, I think just
let me see one thing of encouragement here for somebody that's listening to this, because I've never been consistent at anything in my life. And I put together a string of workout days of 531 straight days. I did not miss a day for over a year and a half. Now think about that in the context of what you might want to do. If you're wanting to build a network marketing business, imagine if your goal every single day was to reach out to 2 people or talk to 1, which is one of our suggested activities. Reach out to 2 or talk to 1. You're either filling the pipeline or you're in the heart of your business, one of the 2. Imagine if you did that for 531 straight days.
Yeah, imagine if you did it for 5 days in a row and then the 6th day, and you know that 90-day sprint you were talking about earlier. It's not 90 days. It's one doing the same thing every single day,
right?
For 90 days. It's too big looking at it 90 days. But today I can do it today.
Yeah.
And Jim, you just mentioned something about with prospecting to lifting weights. How about hugging your kids? How about
Oh,
kissing
yeah.
your spouse? How
Yeah.
about picking up that phone call and calling your mom if she's still around? How about any aspect of your life
Yeah.
that you want to
That-
get better at, that you want to get more consistent at, that you want to consistent? There we go.
I think that was the one thing that surprised at least me the most, because we wrote the book for people that were in network marketing. And yet so many people would come up to us after they've read the book and thank us for the difference they made in their relationships. You know, it
Yeah.
was really eye-opening.
Well, one of your best friends who is an all-star in network marketing, but he wanted to lose weight. And, you know, and he took off like 50 pounds over the
Yeah.
course of however many months that was.
Yeah.
And he posted every single day, this is my walk today.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just built a chain.
He built a chain of consistently doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we
and-
suggest people start small, Harry. I mean, don't start off making, you know, I'm going to do 25 calls today. Do something that you could do on your worst possible day, because the most important thing is to show up every single day and do something on a consistent basis. You can increase the intensity later on, but
Yeah,
the most
you can
important
always
thing is
scale
to
up.
show up. Yeah, just make sure it's a high leverage activity.
Yeah.
That's the key.
I mean, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find an activity that will actually advance you and one that doesn't violate easy, safe, and pleasurable. It's like reaching out to two people. Reaching out can be something as simple as a text or somebody on Facebook reaching out and saying, hey, listen, you know, Bob, it's been too long since we've talked, man, let's catch up. I've got cool things going on in my life. I bet you do too. I want to find out. Let's talk. That's a reach out.
Yeah.
That's easy. That's safe. That's pleasurable. And that leads to conversations that you can take in the direction of your business.
Go put a 0 on your calendar or an X on your calendar and feel good about yourself every single day.
Yep.
Because if you do that activity on a daily basis, you'll increase it later on, yes. But you do that daily on a daily activity every single day, it will get you closer to your goal because you're
Yep.
going to be putting in action. You feel good about yourself every day.
And to what you said earlier, Harry, about 90 days or whatever, just understand this. During the entire time that I put together 531 straight workouts, if you had asked me, and people did, are you going to work out tomorrow? I would have said, no, I'm not going to work out tomorrow. Because in 531 straight days, I never worked out tomorrow. I just worked out today. Today is all I have to win, which is great because
Powerful.
today's all I have to win. Just today.
Yeah.
All the pressure's off. Just today.
Just win the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that. So one of the things that I teach is kind of what you guys just said here too, but I'll encapsulate it. You said show up. That's the first thing. And then I have people set realistic expectations of the smallest amount that they can commit to today. And like you said, don't say 25 a day. What can you commit to today? If the smallest is 5, then do 5 today. When tomorrow does come, do 5 today. When tomorrow does come, do 5 today. And then when you're ready, like Jim had mentioned, you can increase it to 7 or 10,
Yeah.
but do something, don't go backwards. You do it consistently every single day and setting realistic expectations. So very good,
Yeah,
very
and
good, powerful stuff.
And I think there's two things you can do to help guarantee that success, Harry. And number one is to do that activity at a certain time every single day. So you know you're going to do it at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or whatever it might be. And then to have some type of accountability. Those two things will increase your success ratio by almost 70% just for those two things alone.
So this goes into what I teach as far as time blocking. You know, you got your calendar with the circles that
Yeah.
you're going to mark off, but on the calendar, put what time today am I going to do that? What time
Sure.
tomorrow I'm going to do that? Like you said, try to do it at the same time every single day.
Absolutely.
Well, the earlier the better is always better, just because it colors your whole day. You've already won.
Yeah.
Now
Won
we're
the
playing
day.
with house. We're playing with house money. I
I
can
like
feel
that.
good about myself. I don't have to worry about
Yeah.
it.
And
Hey, one thing I
earlier
do
that-
want to mention, can I mention this? We just started, and I mean, when you look at the website, you're going to know, wow, these guys just started this. We wanted to better support the people that were interested in pursuing this strategy. And so we started a site called The Chain Gangster, and thechaingangster.com. And it's a really interesting, it's a fan club, but it's different in the, first of all, we're the fans of you. We're fans of anybody that's trying to make a change in their life. And we want to be able to support that. And so we're at the very beginnings now, but it's going to be much more robust. And the other thing is, I beg you to look at the video on the site, because we are the only fan club I know that's going to be able to pay you to be a member. And that ought to be intriguing enough to look up. thechaingangster.com.
And we're just introducing it.
Yeah.
You're the first person to see it, Harry. You are
Really?
the first person to see it.
Yep.
We George worked on it, I think, all night to get it ready.
So it's live right now. I can go as soon as we
Yep.
get done. I can go there
Yeah.
live.
It is live.
That's great.
The last time
We don't
I
know if
checked,
it's going to work properly, but
Yeah.
it is live.
all the links were, I will tell you, our tech person is not very good. And I will also tell you, our tech person is me. And so we have some limitations there, but we want to be able to do, for one of the things that I want to be able to provide is instantly people that sign up, you get your calendar for that month, which is a Chain Gang calendar with encouragement built in and a place. There's no reason, you don't need to be wondering, going to the store to buy a calendar so you're waiting to start this thing. No, pull it down and print it. And that's not up yet, but it'll be later today.
So let me ask one last question here, and then we'll
Sure.
kind of button it up here. Knowing what you know, I don't know if you're still actively recruiting, but knowing what you know, if you were to recruit somebody into your network marketing business, how would you set them up for success, knowing that they may be an 80%er?
That's easy. I would have them pick that activity, that high leverage activity, whatever it might be. And with network marketing, it's going to boil down to sponsoring, recruiting, reaching out to people.
Prospecting.
Pick it, take something so small, like just reach out to 2 people a day on LinkedIn, Facebook, email message, whatever. Now, we call it in our book, the 21 program, where you reach out to 2 or talk to 1. Eventually, you reach out to 2 people. And I think I've got over 1,500 consecutive days of reaching out to 2 new people every single day. All right. You reach out to that many people, people still start calling you back. And people like George, that is an 80%, will have to talk to people. So it will force his hand. And so I would have people pick the activity, whatever that high leverage activity is, and just start. Just do it. The first 3 days are the toughest.
Well, then the reality is, we don't know what the exact percentage of 80%ers are going to be recruited by you, but we think it's in the neighborhood of 80%. So the chances of you, if you treat somebody like an 80%er, the chances that you're right are really good, about 4 out of 5. And the thing is, if the person is a go-getting 20%er that doesn't need this, they're going to blow past all this anyway. You can't hurt them.
Just get out of their way. Yeah.
It's the large group of people that we want to be able to really help, that impact, that you start them at the correct level. They may stick around, but if you start them with 20% activities of calling all these people and doing all that stuff, they're gonna be gone. They're gonna be blown out. And Jim, you've experienced this.
Yeah, and George, I think that's one of the biggest eye openers is that when we did our program, at least initially, people would come up to us at the back of the room. And I mean, all the 80%ers would gather around George and give him hugs and kisses. And the 20%ers would come up to me and go, "You really think that's how the 80%ers feel?" And I mean, and there's the proof right there. So if you're a leader in a company, boy, your chances are you're going to have, 80% of your organization is going to be 80%ers. So you need to know where they're at and to help them get to the next level. Before they quit, because as you know, the first few days in any organization are the most crucial. Get them into an activity they can feel good about themselves daily. So,
yeah, a lot of my clients have been hanging around the flagpole in their respective companies for years and just haven't made that jump to the next level. And so this book and this concept that you guys teach and train on, I wanted to have you on because it's so impactful at me at my level. I know it's going to be impactful for them because it will help them create the chain that they need to create to get to the next level. And that's what we want to get over that barrier. So any last thoughts from either one of you or both of you, so we can button this up here? Any last thoughts at all?
A couple quick things. I think I want to stress the point that we're not trying to replace anybody's training. You know, we think that our plan of action is a complement to anybody's training. So we're not trying to replace anybody's training. And if you look at consistency, and I love this example, we all know the example where if you take a penny and you double it every single day for 30 days, I see you're shaking your head. All right, you know, at the end of 30 days, you're going to have a little over $5 million, correct?
Yeah.
But what if you took that penny and you doubled it every other day rather than every day? At the end of 30 days, instead of having $5 million in the bank, you're going to have $163 bank. So I would ask everybody, are you building a $163 business or a $5 million business? And that's the power of consistency right there.
Yeah.
Consistency and duplication at its best.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to close for me, I would just say this. I saw network marketing early on when I was young and tried like 5 or 6 different companies, never experienced much success, but I saw the dream and I wanted it. And when people say, well, he didn't want it bad enough. No, that wasn't the problem. That was not the problem. The problem was I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a path that I felt like that I could actually do. And that's what this is. So if you're somebody who's been out, maybe banged around that network marketing a little bit and felt like I did, felt shame and frustration for not being further along and coming back to every meeting at exactly the same place you were the month before, I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be that way. You can do this. You can feel good about this. You can feel confident about this, and you can make progress. Your path is going to be different than Jim Packard's, but it's a path and it's headed in the same direction and it's absolutely doable.
That is great. Great. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And anybody that didn't get it yet, it's the consistency chain for network marketing. That's powerful. And the Chain Gang Gangster, thechangangster.com. thechangangster.com. I'm looking at it and I can't say it. So thechangangster.com.
That's a sign of a good website when people can't say it. That was a good decision right there. We're already on the right track.
Well, we found out that most of us couldn't spell consistency, so we changed it. Hey, Harry, thank you very much for giving us the honor of being on your podcast. It was a real honor for us to do that.
We enjoyed it.
I appreciate you guys, and I think this is going to be the beginning of a long-term relationship for as many years as we have left. I look forward to anything that I can reciprocate on for you, and we'll get this copy of this here for your library. As soon as we upload it, I'll get it over to you guys. Thank you so much. And for everybody else, thanks for tuning in tonight. The MLM Success Academy. Have a great day, everybody. Bye, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You betcha.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.